There's a very good likelihood that I'll be closing the border next week, and that'll be just fine with me.
This week, President Donald Trump is set to return to the border, this time in Mexico, where he will highlight the overwhelming number of migrants who are coming to the United States to seek asylum. Daniel, he has also ratcheted up his rhetoric when it comes to potentially sealing the border as a way to respond to what he deems as a lack of effort by Mexico to address this crisis. What do we know, and what kind of impact might that have on Arizona?
Well, he's been making these threats for a long time, but now he's really ramping it up in the last few days and saying that he was possibly as early as this week he would close the entire border. That would have a major impact in Arizona. This is a border state, and one of the places where we would feel it almost immediately is in the produce industry. Nogales is one of the major ports for importation of fresh produce from Mexico. If you're eating produce in the winter months anywhere in the United States, there's a good chance it came through the Nogales port. So we would see prices skyrocket at the grocery stores throughout the United States almost instantly, and then we'd begin running out of produce within days if the border were shut down. So it would be a major impact in Arizona. We also, those ports in San Luis and Nogales are also used for bringing auto parts back and forth and all sorts of other stuff. So major impact in Arizona.
Do you think he'll close it down?
I think it's not likely that he would close it down because of the huge impact on the economy, but this is President Trump, and it's hard to say. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and does in Arizona politics. Representative David Stringer, a Republican from Prescott, is out following revelations that he paid boys for sex decades ago. One of the boys was developmentally disabled. Dustin, you have followed this investigation into his background. What happens next with him?
Yeah, these revelations really sent a shockwave through the Capitol community, and a lot of people are just questioning why we didn't know more about this sooner. I mean, he was in office for several years. Why was there not more vetting? Why was he allowed to practice law in Arizona? So I think a lot of people are questioning that and what can be done going forward to prevent this from happening in the future. People want to make sure we know really who our lawmakers are. There's also the question of what Stringer himself does. I think there's a lot of concern or discussion of whether he might sue the state. His lawyer has said, she told me that this is not over. I'm not sure what that means yet, but it sounds like he might be considering some sort of action. And
when will the new representative or the replacement be seated?
So the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors will vote this week, and that person is expected to be down to the Arizona House by Wednesday. House Speaker Rusty Bowers has suspended any bill votes until that person is seated, given the thin GOP majority in the House. So it sounds like they're trying to get the new person down there as soon as possible.
Also, down at the state capitol, Red for Ed activists, it's been almost a year since the massive walkouts. We all remember the red t-shirts and the swarm of parents and teachers and grandparents who took to the streets to advocate for more teacher pay. Where is that movement today?
Right, so I think a lot of people this year are questioning, so am I going to have to find childcare for my kid again this year? It doesn't seem like the same crescendo that we saw last year. You know, at this time last year, teachers were walking out of their schools in the mornings, they were wearing red shirts every Wednesdays. We're still seeing that, but it's just not quite the movement it was at this time last year. And that's partly because it's sort of turned inside, and now it's working inside the system instead of fighting against the system outside. So you have people like Kathy Hoffman, the new school superintendent, who's a Democrat, who's working with Doug Ducey, who's working with legislators.
That's different from the past elected officials and administrations that we've seen. You can follow our political reporting on azcentral.com, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you next week.